All day yesterday, I had a feeling that something in my apartment was off. It was almost like the energy had shifted, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. The shadows seemed to be darker. The water seemed to have a strange taste to it. And whenever I wasn't really paying attention to something in front of me, I swore that there was something visible in the corners of my eyes. It was so bad that a few times I couldn't help but think that someone else was in the apartment with me. It was unsettling, but I figured that it was just my nerves getting the best of me. That's how these things went, right? Nerves would take hold, and then everything else made them worse. So, I tried to distract myself. I took a long shower, and then I got changed into soft pajamas. When the day still felt just a little bit off, I decided that it was just time to head to bed. As I made my way across the room to grab something, I noticed that my dog, Petey, seemed on edge. His ears were perked up, and his eyes darted around as if he could sense something unseen. Petey was an old thing, with long, shaggy fur, and bigger than I was technically allowed to have in the apartment. No one really cared, though, because he was a quiet dog and generally very well behaved. Tonight seemed to be proving all of that wrong. I asked him, "What are you thinking about, Petey? It looks like something has your attention." Petey whined. I paused, just at the edge of the bed. I pressed one hand to the mattress and gave it a pat. "Come on, how about you sit up here, Petey? You look like you could use a super soft bed here tonight." Petey ignored the bidding. I gave the bed a more firm pat. "Come on," I said. "Come on, get up here. It's gonna be a good night, just..." I froze. Petey hardly ever barked, not even at birds or cats or strangers. He also seemed to be staring straight at the closet door. Petey got up on his paws, and he lowered his head and raised up his hackles. His fur stood on end. "Petey?" I asked, my voice dropping down low. "What are you barking at?" Petey gave one more bark, and then he ran towards my closet and began barking ferociously while pawing at the door. His nails scraped over the front of it, loud and heavy, leaving gouges left in the wood. "Hey, stop that!" I grabbed Petey by the collar and tried to pull him backwards. He didn't stop, though, so I opened the closet door to see if there was some rodent or something in the closet. The moment that the door opened up, Petey stopped barking. But he hunkered there in front of the closet like he was waiting for something to come charging out. After moving a few things around, I saw nothing. There wasn't so much as a lizard that might have managed to get in there. Petey still wanted nothing to do with the closet. We went on with the rest of our day. Okay, full disclosure. It is rumored that my apartment is haunted. Let me explain. I live in an old hotel that was converted into apartments about 10 or so years ago. And the hotel was said to be haunted. I never paid any attention to those things, but now I'm starting to wonder. This isn't the first time that Petey has done something like this. The next day, I do a more thorough check of the closet. My dog won't even come into the bedroom with me. I have to lure him in with a can of wet food, which isn't something that he normally gets. The big, shaggy mop of a mutt eats the whole can in less than 6 bites, hunkered down to the ground like he's waiting for something to come out of the closet and get him. "Huh, that has you really freaked out, huh?" I ask, petting over the back of my dog's head. "I thought you were supposed to be a big, brave boy." He looks up at me with dark, brown, wet eyes. I laugh, wiping the crusties out of the corner of one of them. Petey's tail gives a single thump. I tell him, "Don't worry, I didn't see anything last night. And if Mama doesn't see it, then Petey doesn't have to worry." I drop my voice into a mockery of baby talk, telling him, "I'll protect my big, brave Petey boy." Petey wags his tail even harder, though he still leaves the bedroom the moment that my hand is off of his head. I'm left in the bedroom, alone. It's a nice place. That's why I took it. Because the houses are in the skeleton of an old hotel, there are hints of grandeur that you wouldn't normally get out of something at this budget. The crown molding, for example, and the ornate brass handle on the closet door. There's no lock on the door, but I make sure to push it shut behind me before I leave. When it comes time to go to bed, Petey bravely comes into the room with me, though he lays down at the foot of my bed, facing the closet. I walk over to it, opening the door and turning on the light inside, then gesturing at it. "See, Petey? It's totally empty," I tell him. I close the door again, giving it a hard push to make sure it's really shut. "Aren't you happy about that?" Petey made a huff and didn't move. No amount of cajoling could get him to come up onto the bed with me. I guess that he's trying to be my little guard dog, which is funny because he's a big old coward. Nothing more than a rabbit at heart, despite his big size. I'm not uneasy enough to stay awake, and soon find myself stretched out in bed and heading to sleep. I roll over, pressing my face into the pillows. For a time, the night is peaceful. And then, I jerk awake, though I don't dare move. I'm lying on my stomach with my face shoved into one of the pillows. That was clearly the closet door creaking open. At the foot of the bed, Petey is growling. The low sound is jarring. I've only ever heard him growl once before, and that was ages ago, back when he was a puppy. Then, there's another sound, like nails scraping over wood. My breathing picks up. I close my eyes and try to will myself to sit up, but the fear is pressing down against me like an iron weight. There's a knot in my throat, and my heart is beating so hard it's actually painful. I don't sit up until there's a massive weight on the foot of the bed, Petey jumping up and landing on the mattress. I jerk upwards, throwing my arms around my dog and pulling him close, even as Petey starts to bark. There are these deep, booming sounds. I've never heard that kind of noise come out of Petey before. I look towards the closet, even though I really don't want to. That's when I see it. The top half of a man dressed in clothing from the late 1800s is pulling himself out of the closet by his hands. His nails are catching and scraping over the wooden planks of the floor. There's a bloody smear where his torso cuts off, and an odd, translucent look to him. Petey is still barking. I try to make him stop, terrified that the ghost will be upset by him. But it's my own words, "Petey, hush," that seems to catch the ghost's attention. The ghost turns to look at me, and there's something horrible about the milky white orbs that look over at me. I've never wanted to simply vanish into nothing before. Not like this. Petey goes from barking to growling. The ghost has changed direction, and now is trying to crawl its way over towards the bed, towards me. It's like I've frozen. Not only are all of my muscles stiff, but my brain has just hit a brick wall. Petey's growling is louder now. The ghost is almost at the foot of the bed. On an instinct, I lean over and turn the bedside light on. The ghost vanishes. Petey jumps off the bed and runs over to the closet, where he starts barking again. I jump off the bed. The blankets tangle around my feet, tripping me. I stagger, kicking my way free, and then throw myself at the door, slamming it shut. Bang! Petey backs away from it. He gives the closet one last warning bark, and then springs out of the room. I go after him, not wanting to be left alone without my ghost-seeing dog. Petey races into the kitchen, where he starts to bark at a shadowy corner. Before my very eyes, another ghost begins to take form. This ghost is a young woman, standing with her face in the corner. Blood spreads over the back of her pale yellow blouse and drips onto the floor. She's crying, these mournful sounds. I ignore her completely and slam the light switch into the on position instead. The bright overhead light floods the room, and the shadows vanish. So does the ghost. Oh, thank God that works, I exhale. All right, Petey, Tell me that's the last one. Petey cocks his head to the side when I say his name, his ears pricked up. Then he leaves me and starts moving through the apartment as though he's on the hunt for ghosts. There's literally no way to describe how relieved I am when Petey doesn't find anything else. I decide that very night, I'm going to move out. By the next day, I'm apartment shopping. And by the end of the week, I've gone elsewhere entirely, Petey on hand. He seems to really like this new place. And if he decides to bark at the closet again, well, then I might just try moving out of the state completely.
Subscribe today or beware.